Welcome to Sergeant Dorsey Speaks. I'm a retired 20-year veteran sergeant of the Los Angeles Police Department, and I am not afraid to pull the covers back, expose that thin blue line, and talk to you honestly and candidly about police training, police policy, and a whole lot about police culture. Welcome to Sergeant Dorsey Speaks on all of my social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Today I come to you with another disturbing story of a Los Angeles Police Department officer who lost his mind clearly. There may be an opening in Hollenbeck Division for my LAPD family who might be looking to transfer a little closer to home. LAPD and NYPD seem to be in some kind of a silent competition to see who can be the biggest jackass caught on video beating someone for reasons that make absolutely no sense. So there's a video that is now kind of going viral here in Los Angeles regarding an LAPD officer on the east side of the town in Hollenbeck Division, East LA, who for reasons that, we may never know, lost his shit. I just have to say it like that, because when you see this video recording, you'll understand. And let me just further emphasize how stupid and bananas this was, because in articles that I have found online regarding this incident, here's what it says. Officers responded to a radio call of a possible trespass. So listen, it's just a radio call, folks. And we know that, because something is given to you over your police radio doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. The citizen reporting the believed crime could be incorrect. They could give out wrong information. And so that's why you have to use a little bit of common sense in addition to everything else that you've been taught and trained as a police officer. Just because a thing comes across your radio doesn't necessarily mean that it's so. Nonetheless, officers responded to a trespass. Okay, low-level call, not even code 2. Trespass suspect. They get there and they encounter this young man. Now, I don't know what happened. It looks like the officer is Hispanic as well as the victim is Hispanic. It is, after all, East LA. So, I always say that officers who are drunk with power, egregious, overzealous, come in all shapes and sizes, colors, ethnicities. Drunk with power is the common denominator. Officers respond, things go crazy, and there's also a citizen there who's recording. A supervisor ultimately responds to this trespass call, and when the supervisor is met by this civilian who was recording, here's what it says. A supervisor was called to the scene, and a witness who had seen a portion of the fight gave the supervisor a copy of a cell phone video, the statement said. Upon review of the content of the cell phone video and the involved officer's body-worn video, the supervisor notified his commanding officer. That means he called his captain. He just went right over the watch commander and went straight to the captain over at Hollenbeck. So the supervisor notifies his commanding officers as well as investigators of internal affairs. This is not your garden variety use of force when a field supervisor calls internal affairs and his captain in the scene. In the field. Internal affairs group responded to conduct a personnel complaint. The suspect was ultimately taken to Hollenbeck Division, I would imagine, but was released from custody pending further investigation. Now that means administrative investigation, not further investigation of the suspect. So let's take a look, shall we, at what happened.
Block of Houston Street in Boyle Heights on April 27th. Two officers responding to a report of a man trespassing on private property as the unidentified suspect was being detained, apparently shouted something at the officers, and that's when the officers started punching the suspect. The LAPD issued a statement calling the video disturbing and said the unidentified officer has been assigned home pending an investigation. The suspect was released.
This made absolutely no sense. None. I don't know what that young man said to that officer, but unless he was talking about his mother or his wife, whatever he said did not justify that. And as a matter of fact, really truthfully, I'm being silly because nothing that young man could have said would have justified that officer putting hands on him. That's not how we're taught and trained on the Los Angeles Police Department. You don't get to just beat somebody. That was not about gaining compliance. That was not about trying to control the trespass suspect, because you can see him, and he was a big guy. It looks like he probably could have, gave as good as he got if he wanted to. He was cowering. He was taking what the officer had to give him, and there was no resistance. There was none offered. And so for the officer to lose his mind that way, for him to just get tunnel vision. I mean, at some point you see the officer even take his glasses off of his head because he wants to really hurt this guy. That was punishment. That was somebody who was found guilty of contempt of cop. That trademark phrase that I often use, contempt of cop. You piss a police officer off, there's a price to pay. Sometimes the price can be a ticket, inconvenience of having your car towed, and maybe you got to walk home because you made somebody mad. You could lose your life, or in this instance, you get an ass whipping on the side of the street. Thankfully, there was a citizen there who met with the supervisor when they responded to have a fireside chat with that supervisor. And once the supervisor saw what they saw, they realized, you know what, dude, you on your own on this one. I've got nothing that I can do for you here, sir. And so let's just get IA right to the scene right now. And this is going to be an internal affairs investigation. Obviously, this is going to be an easy fix for LAPD Police Chief Michael Moore. This officer is absolutely going to lose his job. So whatever that young man said to him, whatever it was that made that officer want to beat him the way that he beat him, I hope it was worth it. And, once they send this officer home, well, he's already been assigned to home. So that's another indicator. He's not getting one of them 30-day paid vacations. Well, he might get 30 days paid at home. They didn't put him on the desk. They sent that ass straight home. So he's at home pending his termination, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Nobody's going to tolerate or condone that kind of foolishness. And here's what I want to know, family. What I want to know is, what about that female partner? Because she's just useless. What the hell was she doing? She's going from side to side like she's watching a tennis match, when what she should have been doing, a good partner would do, is when you see your partner losing it like that, you need to step in. You need to step in and say, hey, partner, what the hell? What is up? Let me talk to him. Let me take it from here. Whatever that was all about. She was there from start to finish. And so surely she knows a good partner wouldn't have allowed their partner to lose it and get in that kind of trouble, because he's in big trouble. Believe me, not only is he facing administrative discipline, he may very well be charged with a criminal offense, because that was an assault. That was ADW, as best I see it. So what was she doing, and what's going to happen to her? Because listen, you stand by, you watch that mess. She gets on her radio. I don't know if she was getting on a radio to call for backup, or if she was getting on a radio to ask for a supervisor. I don't know. But what I do know is that she didn't intervene. She didn't stop it. And so as far as I'm concerned, she's just like that Sergeant Kizzy Adonis over in New York, who stood by and watched Eric Garner get choked to death. This female is just as guilty. I hope this young man didn't lose his life. I hope that he didn't get seriously injured. Well, he didn't lose his life because they transported him to the station and then they released him. But my point is that she should have jumped in. She should have stopped her partner, and she didn't. And so she acquiesced misconduct. She stood by, she watched it, she let it happen, and she too should suffer some sort of penalty. So that's what's going on, family. It's going to be a long, hot summer. Today, Cinco de Mayo, it was 93 degrees here in Los Angeles. And so if the temperature continues to rise and officers continue to lose their shit like this officer did, be careful. Be careful. Cities and certain states now are starting to release restrictions with regards to stay-at-home, COVID-19, pandemic, quarantine stuff. here in Los Angeles on Friday, state of California, actually on Friday, May 8th, I believe is the date. We can start to go to certain locations, bookstores. There was a list of things. I don't know why bookstores. Yeah, bookstore sticks in my mind because that's just such a random location to be opening up. But nonetheless, restaurants are not opening up. I think it was bookstores. It might even be gyms. I'm not sure. But restaurants are not opening up here in California on Friday. So again, they're allowing people to come out. They're still asking you to practice safe social distancing, asking that you continue to wear masks. But listen, I don't know if these cops are, pent up because they haven't been locked in. I don't know what that's all about. You saw the video from yesterday that I shared with you about the NYPD officer who beat up a young man who was just standing by watching officers take someone into custody for an unrelated to him incident. That officer is now facing jeopardy. And then here today in LA, LAPD officers over in Hollenbeck Division respond to a trespass. And now there's an officer who's about to lose his job, I guarantee you. So if you leave the house, family, please do be mindful. Folks are wound up tight for reasons I can't explain. Be your own best advocate, comply, and complain. Thank you for watching, following, subscribing, liking, and tell a friend about Sergeant Dorsey Speaks. Support my mission by visiting my CashApp and Venmo, Sergeant Dorsey Speaks, and purchase my autobiography, Creation of a Social Advocate, on my website, sergeantdorseyspeaks.com.